cost me about $28 at Taco Bell for lunch.
And it's just out of control.
And it's hurting
good, hard-working Americans.
The only way
to help them is to raise unemployment,
raise interest rates,
lower wages and lower retirement savings.
but we can't touch Wall Street,
corporate profits, or
CEO pay.
It's just too important.
punishing
Good, hard-working Americans
Is the only way.
Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for another Fed update video, but this time,
bigger and better than ever.
by now I'm sure you've seen a dozen videos from your favorite content creators talking about how the Federal Reserve is raising their rates, and I'm late to the game, so rather than creating another video explaining this for the 9th time in a row, instead I want to bring your attention to the problem with Jon Stewart. His episode on inflation is gonna blow your mind.
Working families, clobbered by inflation.
Millions of people can't afford groceries, toiletries, other goods necessary to provide for their families.
they're not even going for medical treatments that they need because they need the money to pay the gas bill.
So now the Federal Reserve has once again raised their interest rates to fight inflation, and this time by 0.25%, exactly like the market predicted. So the whole episode talks about inflation and how increasing interest rates to fight it is maybe not such a good idea. Because so far the story of inflation is that the reason prices are going up is because we flooded the economy with stimulus and stimulus checks to the middle class. And now we have to fight this inflation by getting rid of people's jobs, lowering people's incomes, and crushing middle class demand.
We need wages to come down pretty significantly.
We need fewer jobs. We need a higher unemployment rate.
We actually want to see and hear about more layoffs and lower wages, more firings.
It's argued that the medicine the working middle class needs to swallow for the good of the country is to be okay with being laid off and having wages go down.
The root cause of spiking inflation is the COVID-19 relief package.
We're all paying the price for having overstimulated this economy during the pandemic and putting too much money into people's pockets.
They're in some of the best financial shape they've ever been. And the result is that demand is outstripping supply a little bit.
So that's the story we've been told so far about why inflation's happening, because the middle class, and why we have to raise those interest rates to fight those rising wages. But here's the kicker. Jerome Powell, the guy in charge of raising interest rates at the Federal Reserve, said himself that he didn't think that rising wages were the main reason for causing inflation.
I don't think wages are the principal story of why prices are going up. I don't think that.
Well, that's awkward. So the question is, why is the Fed and the government taking such a strong stance on lowering inflation by increasing unemployment and lowering those wages if higher wages had very little to do with inflation in the first place? It turns out, and this is not a surprise, that corporate profits have been at an all-time high. Just take a look at the recent development with Moderna. The CEO is increasing vaccine prices by 400%. So let's rewind back to the beginning. What is inflation? Before Janet Yellen, there was this guy, Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary who was in charge of financial matters in the US, and here's what he said.
Well, ultimately, inflation actually isn't that complicated. When you have rising demand and only so much supply, prices keep going up. You put too much water in the bathtub overflows.
And that makes perfect sense. If you fill a tub with too much water, eventually it overflows. And that makes for a beautiful analogy, but also leaves out a lot of nuance. Like the fact that there's actually two tubs. There's consumers and there's businesses. When inflation goes up, both sides have to pay more, but not equally. Every quarter, for example, the BLS, the Black Luster Soldier, or the Bureau of Labor Statistics probably, releases what's called the CPI, the Consumer Price Index about inflation. The CPI measures the inflation from the consumer side with things like egg prices and rent prices, which have obviously gone up. But then there's the business side, which is the PCE, the Personal Consumption Expenditures, which sources that data from businesses. Now, it's all really complex and not everyone agrees on how this data is collected, but here's what they found. Demand-side inflation, meaning from the consumer side, which includes money spent from stimulus checks and personal savings rates, only accounted for 30% of all inflation. But rising corporate profit margins from businesses charging more accounted for a total massive 40% of all inflation. So the majority of all inflation was actually caused on the supply side, the business side, not the demand or the consumer side. At the same time though, CEOs were paid 399 times more than the average worker, with their incomes up over 1,400% since 1978. Corporate profit margins are at their largest since the 1950s, oil profits at the highest in over a century, meatpacking profits over 300%, and the list goes on and on. The argument John presents really well is that the government did the thing they were supposed to in a crisis: save people from becoming homeless. And by employment standards, it was working.
This is called the Great American Comeback, the economy roaring back in the first quarter. It's almost back to where it was before the pandemic.
That unemployment rate, 3.4%, 53-year low.
Unemployment's low, the job market's hot, and that's going to be bad for working people.
And now, of course, we're being told that the stimulus we got was really bad, and it was the demand side that caused the inflation, which of course is not what data shows. So let's compare now how quickly the economy recovered when the money was given to the people versus to the banks. Keep in mind, before the pandemic, 66% of all Americans lived paycheck to paycheck. Today, that number is slightly better at 60%, but that's still the majority. And even those making $100,000 a year say that they are struggling. So now more than ever, it's really important to figure out the real answer to that question. Who is it better to give money to, the people or the banks? In the last financial crisis in 2008, it was the banks who got the bailout.
The government handed over $3.3 trillion to the banks.
The government has already spent $4.7 trillion to survive the financial crisis.
The Fed loaned or guaranteed the banks some $7.7 trillion.
So trillions of dollars was given to the banks, and take a look at just how quickly the stock market recovered in that time. Stocks bottomed in March 2009, losing 46%, but it took only 4 years for the S&P 500 to recover all its losses. By comparison, jobs took a lot longer to recover. Unemployment peaked at 10% in 2009, and it took 9 years for unemployment to go down. From November 2007 to November 2016, it took more than twice as long as the stock market to actually recover. But now, take a look at how much faster the economy and employment recovered when the money was given to the people instead of to the banks during the pandemic. It was a quick, V-shaped recovery as compared to a very long and dragged out process where people lost their jobs, their homes, and it was very slow and painful. So the question is, if the economy is doing extremely well on the demand side, why is the Fed stepping in to fight so strongly on behalf of the supply and the business side? And the answer to that question is what's called the Fed dual mandate policy. The Fed dual mandate policy just says that the Fed has a goal of having price stability and maximum employment. The Fed's definition of stable prices means inflation growing at a rate of 2% per year, and it defines maximum employment as having an unemployment rate of 4% or less. So let's take a look at both of those and see where the economy is really at today. As of the latest inflation PCE report, today that number is closer to 5.4 or 4.7% if you exclude food and gas. Both numbers are higher than the month before and way too high to be considered stable prices. So inflation is not coming down as fast as the Fed wants. So we don't have price stability, but that's only half of the equation. What about unemployment? Right now, we're doing really great. 3.6%, which is extremely low, the lowest level of unemployment since around 1969. But even though the Fed has the dual mandate policy of protecting price stability and employment, the two are now conflicting, and they're both competing for the Fed's attention. And the Fed is picking the supply side, the side of business. And technically, this is nothing new. If you look back at history at US economic policy, most of the times, anytime there's been a financial crisis, stimulus was given to the side of business in the form of tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy. But the argument is, the one time the government decides to give the stimulus to demand, the consumer and the middle class, and now it's being called the greatest tragedy and the worst economic policy of all time, even though the data shows that jobs were actually saved.
When you stimulated at the demand level, giving people checks, it was really clear the effect was immediate, robust, and really efficient. Doesn't that tell us we've been doing it backwards for 40 years?
Yes, it does, but it's complicated. Inflation has actually cost Americans roughly $1.1 trillion. In fact, it's the #1 economic concern for the middle class today. But the question is, why do they call it wage inflation on the demand side if they don't call it profit inflation on the supply side? There was a really interesting segment of the video that tried to hint at the answer to that question.
If we don't have full employment, we don't treat it as an emergency. When we have inflation, we do. And we can have an honest discussion about why that is, but we should be honest about the fact that we do treat it differently.
That was John Rizzo, former spokesperson for the US Treasury Department, and what he's hinting at is something no one wants to openly say and admit to, which is that capital in this country, or money, has had a preferential treatment over labor. meaning the way we treat those with money has been much better than the way we treat those with jobs. Investors have always had a priority. And that's because fiscal policy is run by politicians, and politicians get bought and paid for. It's a broken system. It is very difficult for labor to win in the context of big business and lobbied interest. That's why people look so much to the Fed to do its job with monetary policy, because that's supposed to be separate from politics and moneyed interest. But no one's calling Jerome Powell and saying, "Hey, Papa Powell, if you increase interest rates again this week, I may or may not lose my job." Because raising interest rates can put an estimated 10 million people out of work. And maybe it's a lack of imagination from the Fed, but also he's surrounded by extremely wealthy people and big business, and there's probably very few people in the room with him to represent the best interest of labor. So for now, it's going to be the lower and the middle income people that end up paying for it, as it usually is the case. And that's why they raised their interest rates once again this week. Now that doesn't mean we can't fix the problem. We can. It just means reinventing the system from the ground up, and that's gonna take a lot of work to do. The rest of that video is something I really encourage you to go watch for yourself, because John gets into a really heated debate with Larry Summers over inflation and who's really to blame for it, and I think it's really interesting and it raises a lot of questions. And it would be nice if we actually had a conversation that was honest about the preferential treatment of capital over labor here in the US. In the meantime though, as always, I want you to have a wonderful rest of your day. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to grab your free stocks, links are down below, and then go track them automatically with the spreadsheet link down below in my Patreon. Love you, thank you so much for watching. I'd love to see you back here on Monday, Friday, sometimes a Wednesday. See you soon, bye-bye.